We're here to show you an awesome in-depth video of the new Sitka Mountain Hauler 6200. This pack is definitely the heavy hitter. It's made for longer backcountry packs, and Barklow has this thing loaded out for about a 4-day hunt, late season. This is going to be a perfect situation for how to pack and load out certain essentials for late season elk, a moose hunt, pretty much everything that you need. I can definitely say you're the authority on knowing what we're going to need for a hunt of this caliber. So let's go through how you laid out this pack and why.
Yeah, so the Mountain Hauler 6200, like you said, it's kind of the heavy hitter in the line. It's the largest pack we have, load rated to 150 pound carrying capacity. So, you know, basically any place you would want to pick up a strap, grab it, you know, either by the waist belt, the shoulder strap, any of the handles, any of the straps, it'll carry 150 pounds.
Yep.
A lot of things we did on this pack to kind of help that person get some comfort on a long backpack hunt is we have these pre-curved waist belts and shoulder straps. There's 3 different densities of foam in there to give durability and comfort at the same time. Those components are directly connected to a T6 aircraft aluminum frame. It's a wider frame, and it's got fiberglass rods that come down and wrap around your hip, so we really want to get that good transfer of weight to the user. This has a lot of different features, like a big Kangaroo Pocket on the back, increased capacity of the internal volume with zippers. It's got a 220 denier polyurethane coated fabric that's not only highly water resistant but also blood proof, so
Yep.
It won't stain. And then it's reinforced with 450D Cordura. So a lot of different features in this, and then kind of the center piece of the Mountain Hauler series is the capacity to carry meat and heads out. So there's unique features for that as well.
Internally.
So, yeah.
This pack here is shown in the open country, which is going to be better for, you know, once the terrain starts to lose a lot of its foliage in the later hunts, or if you're in mountain scenarios at higher altitudes. But then it's also available in the subalpine pattern as well. Yeah,
so just to kind of go into a little more depth now, some of those things I talked about. This suspension is fully adjustable, so real easy to pop a couple buckles and adjust the suspension up and down for torso lengths.
Yep.
This pack also comes in 2 different sizes, so a medium large and a large XL. That's kind of based off your waist measurements and the girth of your shoulders. Like I'd also mentioned, 3 different densities of foam. So a stiffer density of foam to give it a little bit of rigidity and body so that it's not going to necessarily crush under those heavy weights. Then a medium, and then a lighter density foam on the outside to kind of give that little bit of plush and comfort.
Yeah.
Pre-curving these waist belts and shoulder straps, that's really important, especially when you're carrying heavier loads. So as opposed to trying to take a flat waist belt and force it around your round hips, which is going to create different pressure points and hot spots and different things. We want to try to limit that by already making it want to wrap around your torso. So that's really going to provide a really comfortable carry. The waist belt has the ability to carry, these are the Sitka belt pouches, so these are aftermarket, but you can see on this side, both sides basically have overlapping Velcro. So what that allows is you to run bear spray, pistol holsters, maybe a pocket on both sides,
Yep.
Things like that to add some versatility. So, you know, if you're in bear country, obviously you should be carrying something to protect yourself. The aluminum frame, so it's actually a little wider than a lot of your internal packs. Just because we wanted to provide a little bit bigger platform to carry out like an elk hindquarter as an
Yep.
example. So it's a big, large, heavy thing that you're trying to carry out. So by giving you that stiffer frame, making it a little wider, it's a good platform so that things aren't going to shift. Directly tying the critical load-bearing components like waist belt, shoulder strap, the meat sling or load sling directly to that frame, it's going to give that best transfer of energy, because when you have a heavy pack, especially if you aren't able to pack it exactly perfect every time, if that load starts shifting on your back, your body has to counteract those forces, and it just really starts wearing you out.
And buckles start to loosen as well.
Buckles start to
the more
loosen,
you're shifting side
yeah.
to side, you're re-cinching everything down. But another reason why I'm sure you put that wider platform on there is the 6200 is really designed to have a heavy load going in as well. This is for the guy that's going in, doing a multiple day hunt, needing to take in much more critical gear on the way in, but then obviously also being able to bring that out along with whatever they're having to pack out in addition with the meat and obviously the head.
Yep. So, we tried to think of a lot of different things. This obviously has a top carry handle, but we understand that, when these packs start getting really heavy, they're hard to move around. Sometimes you don't want to pick it up by one single handle. If we're on a moose hunt, we may be loading it into a boat. If we're going remote, we may be putting it in float planes.
Right.
So there's actually a handle at the bottom here as well that stows away. So you can pick this up, and it's just easier
to give it to someone.
To give it to someone, to get it in different modes of transportation, to maybe even like ratchet strap it down, things like that. So the top lid has two zippers. There's one that provides kind of a medium size volume for that zip, and then the other zipper here is a much bigger zipper. It's got a zippered security pocket, but then it also has a waterproof flip-out pocket. So if you're going into inclement weather, wallets, phones, whatever the case may be, you can remove that if you don't want it, but it's a nice feature when the weather's pretty bad.
Yep.
So things I carry in the top lid. In this case, I have a water bottle. I have our new Stormfront glove, so that's a taped Gore-Tex glove, kind of our warmest glove in the line. A couple different pairs of glove liners, and then
heavier beanie.
A heavier beanie, so that happens to be the Jetstream beanie. So things I kind of want to access that I'm going to have on, that if I drop the pack, I can just easily access right from the top. On the side pocket, in this case, I just have some headlamp in this case, some food that I can access kind of quickly on the go. I don't have to stop and take the pack off. A spare release. There's a zippered security pocket in here as well. That's good for things like tags, scalpels, lighters, etc., things like that.
Paracord.
Paracord, just things that you maybe want on the fly and don't want to have to necessarily stop.
Yep.
And like I said, you can run those on one side, both sides, or you can just remove them. So let's go ahead and actually look at the back of this pack. So let's pop that top lid and maybe just remove it all together just to kind of get it out of the way. You'll see here there's two horizontal straps, so that's a good place to carry a bow. But right here on top is what I call the Kangaroo Pocket. So the Kangaroo Pocket is a place where I keep things that I want to access really quickly, like a puff jacket, rain gear, things like that. In here, what you'll see is what's called the Mountain Approach Pack.
Yep.
So this pack is 750 cubic inches. It actually is patterned to fit in that pocket. I like to keep, especially in inclement weather, when I have a heavier pack, I like to keep things in a smaller, almost day pack like this. This is highly water resistant, so I won't call it waterproof, but it's highly water resistant. Inside, some things I have is I have an extra pair of socks. I have our water filter. I have a 5-liter bladder, so if we do find a good water source, we're going to fill up and take as much water as we can. You never know when you're going to come back to a good water source. And then I have my rain gear. Yep. But the nice thing about this pack is it's kind of twofold. So if you and I drop these packs at our base camp, we don't necessarily want to walk around with that all day and spot and stalk. We can actually take these, and these come in camel pattern as well.
Yep.
We can drop these packs. We can set up a base camp. You and I can take this with our puffy and maybe a stove and some coffee and hike, a couple hundred feet up to a glassing ridge and just hang out there for the day. Come back to our camp when we need to. We can stalk in these, or a lot of times out west, we'll get to a camp and let's say we weren't able to walk by a water source, and let's say there's a water source 800 feet below us, we'll go ahead and take all the bottles, all the bladders, we'll throw it in this. I can take, you know, a puffy jacket just in case for some reason I'm caught out at night. One guy can drop 800 feet, fill up all the water sources, and bring it back in this little pack. So these packs are super, super resourceful. This is something that, you know, one of the lessons I learned living in Alaska and you know, doing a lot of winter training with the military. These are just super versatile. And like I said, it's patterned to run in here. If for some reason you don't want to run the approach pack in there, it's just another great 750 cubic inch exterior pocket. I know guys put spotting scopes in there, different things like that.
Yep, I've got one of these that's loaded specifically just for, you know, meat cutting. I've got, you know, bags, rubber bands, knives, sharpening stone, you know, my meat bags in there as well. It's really handy to be able to know that when I take that entire piece out, everything that I need for the processing part is right there.
Yeah, you definitely have a very meticulous system when it comes to meat processing. There's no doubt about that. Luckily, I've been able to experience that. On the side here, you'll see these big exterior pockets right here. So again, you can put water bottles in here if you want, trekking poles, tent poles, tripods, a lot of different things. I know guys will run their rifle down through the side of this, under the compression straps, put the butt of the rifle down in that pocket. So a lot of things just to add that versatility on the outside of the pack. The last feature that I'll show that we'll get into is you have a big U-shaped zipper here, which is basically the sleeping bag compartment, or the ability to get into the interior of the pack from the outside. So this is the only zipper on this pack that you can get to the contents of the interior of the pack unless you come from the top. So depending on how you pack, and we're going to go ahead and unpack this, you know, there's lots of different ways to access the pack. On the top, the shroud is got a really wide mouth, opens up, and in this particular case, the first thing I have here, because it would be one of the first things when we got to camp we'd want to set up is the tent, especially if weather's inclement. So I've got a tent here that we've got in a compression sack, and then somewhere in there is the poles. I've got a second water bottle. So a lot of times in cold weather, I'll choose not to run a bladder with a hose because if it gets too cold, that hose will actually start to freeze. Like that's kind of the weak point, is where the hose goes into the water or the mouthpiece. So a lot of times I'll run water bottles. I'll have one that I can access somewhere kind of quick, like I said, exterior pocket, and then one I keep inside. And then the next thing is a big puffy jacket. So this is, you know, our big Kelvin Down Windstopper hoodie. You know, seeing that it's a late season hunt, that's definitely the warmest puff jacket that we make. And then in this case, the next thing I have is our Kelvin Light puffy pants. So again, for those late season hunts, you know, a lot of people don't think about it. They're like, well, what do you need puffy pants for? But like I said, if you and I get up on a ridge and start glassing, or like maybe when you and Andy were in France, you know, those mountain hunts, you have to spend a lot of time glassing. You're not really moving and being active. It's really nice to just zip up in a lofted insulation and just be able to sit there and concentrate and glass for long periods of time. And then I also use this to kind of help you know, sleep warmer at night. Don't have to bring maybe as big a sleeping bag. So there's the tent poles, and then here's my food bag for those 5 days. So freeze-dried meals, breakfast, different snacks, things like that, spoon, hot sauce, you know, all that kind of stuff. I like to keep, just like you said, your kill kit, so to speak, in a bag. I like to keep the food in a bag, kind of keeps everything, you know, clean and isolated, things like that. So I'm a huge proponent of waterproofing things interiorly as well as exteriorly if you need it. It's just an added bit of precaution. I want to show this feature here for a second. So you open up the sleeping bag compartment, you're going to see this vertical strap here. This vertical strap is actually really important. So what that does is, if you don't tighten that vertical strap A lot of times, you know, you're trying to cram so much into these packs, you put a lot of stress on that zipper.
Yeah.
If that zipper blows out at the bottom of your pack, that's a real issue.
It's a cinch down.
So you just cinch that down, and then it takes all the pressure off that zipper.
Yep.
So kind of a small thing, but easy to overlook. So what I have here, and we can set that pack down now for a second, is the dry bag that I basically have all my, we'll call them critical components in here. Things that I don't really want to either get wet, or things that I know when I access them, they're going to be kind of when I'm in camp,
Yep.
right? And I know you run things a little bit different, but for me, you know, I really only use the stove in the morning, and then I use it in the evening to eat dinner. I know you like your coffee in the middle of the day, so you know, you may choose to put it somewhere else, but we just have a reactor stove there, spoon. Here's my sleeping bag. So sleeping bag is in a compression stuff sack crushed down, so this is a little bit colder hunt, so
Yep.
chose to take that big loft and kind of crush it down. And then I've got some extra clothes. So I've got a base layer top that's a little heavier. I have some base layer bottoms.
Yep.
So if I'm wearing them, I don't bring an extra set. If I'm not wearing them, I always bring a set. And then a couple extra pairs of socks and my ground pad. So, you know, that's a lot of stuff that you can fit in that one pack to
Yep.
go out. You know, this pack could easily, you know, if you carry the right stuff, could easily support you for 10 days.
Yep.
So the load lifters are adjustable. We ship them kind of in the optimal position for most people, but if you move the adjustable torso length of the suspension up and down, you may find that you need to move the position of the load lifter on this ladder lock system to get the perfect fit for you. So if you're a little shorter in stature, you might have to move it down one, and if you're a little taller in stature, you might want to move it up. But generally speaking, it's in a good spot for most people as a starting reference. So now that we have the pack unloaded, the last thing I want to talk about is the internal load sling. It connects very similar to the way it does on the 4000. So you'll see these two female buckles at the end. The load sling comes rolled up. Inside of that are two antler straps, and you would essentially take the load sling and clip it in like this. Loading the meat is somewhat similar to the 4000, except normally you would access the meat loading from the top. If you guys want to see a detailed tutorial of how to load meat and an elk in the Mountain Hauler 6200, you can check that out at Sitka Gear's YouTube page or the Mountain Hauler 4000 review at knockonarchery.com.